Is the 425 show. Thank you for joining us today. Oh my goodness, it is a beautiful, beautiful sunny day in the Northwest. You can see the mountains, you can see the lake. Just one of the many things that I love about living in this area. You know, I've been selling real estate on the east side for over 20 years now. And, you know, anytime I meet with a client, it's always about bedrooms and baths and square footage. But, you know, quickly we end up moving past that, and it ends up, you know, it's about everything. It's about where you live, the neighbors, the parks, the schools, commutes, all of that creates the community that's ultimately the backdrop for your life. And so to me, that is the fun part. You know, when I meet with a buyer, it's finding out, you know, okay, not only what is it you're looking for, you know, house-wise, but, you know, what do you do? What do you like, so that when we find the right house, it's the perfect spot for their next chapter. And then also, as I'm working with a seller, we're marketing so much more than just those basic things. It's, you know, what is it that they loved about the house and all of those other things. In fact, I did a video series last year where I featured 30 businesses downtown Kirkland, which is where I live. And if you want to check that out, you can see that at my website. It's NicoleMangina.com. There's a video tab. You can go and see all of those. But as I did that, I got to know all these business owners. And it was just amazing. I love people, and I love hearing people's stories. To me, that's what makes people fascinating. In fact, you'll hear from the lovely Vanessa Rimkus here with us today. Say good morning, Vanessa.
Good morning.
Yay! We're doing a Facebook Live as well, so if you want to see us live and in person, you can always check us out there, as well as here on the radio station. But, you know, as I did that video series, I wanted to get into a longer format so that we could dive into more of what makes living on the east side such an amazing experience. So again, I'm joined with Nathan, my awesome producer here this morning. Good morning, Nathan.
Good morning, Nicole.
It's our first episode, so we're getting everything worked out here. I'm feeling very brave that we're doing not only this, but the Facebook Live.
Totally.
So, I know. We're pulling out all the stops today. So Vanessa, thank you for joining us. Vanessa is with Fairway Mortgage. And hi, how are you?
Hi. Thank you so much for inviting me, especially for your first show. I feel super duper honored.
Oh,
so,
yay.
Super appreciative to be here, and it's been great working with you and your clients. We have some really awesome clients here.
We've had a good time for
our
sure.
area. I know, right? So
awesome, cool. Well, so the 425 show, if you're just joining us, I'm Nicole Mangina with Windermere Real Estate, and this is Vanessa Rimkus. So Vanessa, tell me, where do you live?
So I actually am a native here to Washington.
Love it.
I grew up in Redmond, graduated as I think the 4th graduating class of Eastlake High School. And my husband and I, as we have been looking, back in the day when we were starting a family, we were really trying to figure out where we were going to lay down some roots. And right now we live in Snoqualmie Ridge, and it's so funny because I kept telling my husband that is so far out there. We both we lived in Bothell at the time, and we work in Bellevue, and we just kept going out to the Ridge. He loves to golf.
Oh, I love that about that.
The whole community, everybody, we were similar in age. There's tons of kids. So we ended up buying out there 4 years ago, and it is the best decision we ever made.
That is awesome. I love the Ridge. I have a lot of clients that live out there, and I love that you are a native to this area. I think that's so cool. I'm actually not a native. I moved here, it's been almost 30 years ago, so I do consider myself a local, but, you know, I moved here from Germany. My dad was in the Air Force, and, you know, up until living here, I had lived in Europe a couple places, and I lived in Florida and a lot of the Midwest. So this whole area was foreign to me, and I will never forget the day my dad came home and said, "Hey, what do you think about moving to Washington?" And I thought, you know, I think that's way up in the corner, and it looks really isolating, and I don't think I feel good about this. I don't think good things. And I'll be honest, when I moved here, it was not love at first sight. I think that at the end, in retrospect, that had a lot to do with it being my senior year of high school and really nothing to do with here. But I bailed out, went down to Arizona, got my degree from the University of Arizona in nutrition, because that's what you study before you get into real estate. And then came back, and now I love it. Same, you have 2 boys, we have 2 boys as well. I cannot think of a better place to live on a day-to-day basis and raise kids and everything else. I'll be the first one to jump on the whiny bandwagon when it's raining and the days are short.
Me too.
Right? I think all of us, if you've lived here long enough, we all have our things we do to get out of here in the springtime and things like that. But even with all of that on a daily basis, I just can't imagine living anywhere other than here.
Right. No, it's so cool. It's so cool. And we're blessed enough to have purchased a home over in Eastern Washington years ago, over in Desert Air. And so that's what's cool with Snoqualmie is you're 20 minutes from skiing, you're 2 hours from, the gorge, which is super fun. And, it's such a hop, skip, and jump to Bellevue in Seattle.
I know. It's a perfect location. We have a couple friends that live in Snoqualmie Ridge, and they ski a couple days a week during the week because it's so quick and easy to get out there, and I just think that's awesome.
I know. You're like on weekdays? Really?
I know.
You can do that stuff. So
totally. I think that's great. That's one of the things I love. The many things I love about this area is all of the outdoors. I just think that's beautiful. That feeds my soul. To have the trees and the mountains and the water and everything around and to be able to access that on a daily basis, I think is so cool.
The sunny days when the mountain is out. People from around here don't always know what that means, but
No, but if you live here, you absolutely know what that means. And you can tell, like you don't even have to look out your window to know when the mountain is out because they're just in a much better mood. It's amazing.
People are out, birds are chirping.
I know.
It's a good day. It's a good day.
Everybody's nice when you're in traffic. You're at the stop sign and people are like, no, you go. No, you go. When it's raining and dark, it's every man for themselves.
Pay it forward at Starbucks.
Totally.
Whatever works.
Doesn't happen in the rain.
No, exactly.
So the Ridge, you've got your boys up there. I love the talk about community. The Ridge is a sense of community for sure.
It's amazing, and it's funny how as you get a little bit older, I'm in my 30s. There's a new Safeway that went in, which completely changed my world. It sounds so silly, but we just had a really small grocery store up there, so they put in a nice big Safeway. There's some fun restaurants that are going in. I'm super excited about a new studio, Pineapple Life Studio, which is a bar yoga studio that is going in a half a mile from my house. So I'll be able to jog up the street, go to my studio for a workout, and jog home.
That's amazing.
Or call my husband, tell me he needs to pick me up because I'm too tired.
Well, I was impressed when you said jog there and jog back. I thought that the workout was the workout. But
I got goals.
I like it. Okay. The sun's coming out. We got to get ready for that, right?
There it is.
So cool. And now your boys are in school?
They are. Yeah, I have two boys. Okay. One's 6, one's 8. So they're one's in kindergarten and 2nd grade, and they go to Cascade View Elementary.
Nice. Which is the school that's right in the Ridge, right?
Right in the Ridge. There's actually 2 elementary schools now. There was a school bond that passed a couple of years ago, so that's been really nice for our area, as there are so many more people that are moving out there. A lot of families. So the schools have definitely kept up. We have really high school ratings, which I know in this area. I feel like you almost can't go wrong because we have such great schools. We're really blessed. So.
We do. But in Snoqualmie's, you have phenomenal school ratings, which I think is great. I know some of my clients, when, we talk about, okay, where do you want to live? And we're talking about community, their initial responses, they're a little resistant to go further out. Because on the map, let's be real, it's pretty far.
Right.
Right. But it's freeway driving, so it ends up being closer in or a shorter commute time than they think because they're not getting stuck in as much traffic. And then the schools out there are really fantastic. I think you guys are getting a new high school right now as well, aren't you?
We are. Yeah, we're in the process. I actually was just there for a flag football game with my 6-year-old. It's about halfway constructed for the new Mount Si High School. So it looks like it's going to be absolutely stunning.
That's awesome. Cool. And then are they into sports, or what kind of activities do you guys do to be involved in the community?
Totally. So my 6-year-old just started flag football, which has been hysterical. Half the time he's looking around, not quite sure exactly.
I love it.
Oh, it's the cutest thing ever. And then so he's been into that. My older child is super into scripting. So he goes to Minecraft camp, Roblox camp. The Eaton School in Bellevue actually is phenomenal in the summer.
Oh, cool.
They offer some coding classes for Java for kids that are getting into the gaming industry. I have clients right now that work in several different gaming companies around Bellevue. So we're hoping for a field trip soon. I've got some nice clients, so it would be really cool to bring them in.
That's pretty cool. Where our youngest is just getting into that. He's going to do a tech camp at the University of Washington this summer, and that is it's amazing when you have kids. I don't know. I think it'd be fun to go back and be a kid again, because all of these opportunities for summer that they have these days, either they weren't there or we didn't know about them. I'm kind of thinking they weren't there when I was a kid, which was, a while ago. Oh, let's see if we can reconnect. I don't know. Our video, if you're watching the Facebook Live, I think we just lost our video connection. Sorry.
We'll get back there. We'll get back there. We're working through it. Yeah. How old are your boys again, Nicole?
They are 11 and 13. So we are 5th and 8th grade. We're going to move to middle school and high school next year. But we're big into sports. We didn't do the football, but we're a big baseball family. And I just remember when they're little, especially when you're doing we did t-ball, which I think is kind of like flag football.
Mm-hmm.
And that was by far my favorite. I love baseball now, especially as they're older, because it's more of a game. But I just love t-ball when everybody, they run to third base instead of first base. They're having a blast. It's really about the snack at the end of it. I just think
Isn't
it's cute.
that true?
Yeah.
Oh, my kids got cookies at the end of this for their first game, and they were just, on cloud nine.
Yeah.
Amazing what some of those Pocky sticks will do. So.
It's amazing. I remember t-ball for our oldest. I was in charge. I was snack mom for the, our very first venture into sports, and I missed one of the games on the schedule, and there was no snack at the end.
Uh-oh.
Oh my gosh. There was a rebellion. It was not good. So I quickly got fired from that job, and I'm not allowed to be snack mom anymore.
No, you can delegate that.
I know.
Ask for friends for help.
It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So you live on the Ridge, a great community, and you are a mortgage broker as well.
I am.
We work together on many transactions. I love it. But let's chat about the mortgage industry. What is going on?
Holy smokes. A lot going on in our world for sure. Well, I'll start by saying I work for the best mortgage company on the planet. I work for, I'm not just saying that, everybody says that. Don't worry.
It's okay.
So Fairway Independent Mortgage, it's actually the number 4 independently held mortgage company in the U.S. So
wow, I didn't know that.
Even though the Fairway name is not super well known around Washington yet, it's just because they expanded more out of the Midwest and the East Coast. And my husband and I actually opened a branch of Fairway Independent Mortgage. We opened our doors in January, right above actually a Windermere office.
Nice.
Just off of I-90. So as you were talking about commute times from Snoqualmie, it's been awesome.
I bet. Perfect.
There's no traffic. Every morning my phone, I don't know how our creepy phones tell us this sometimes, but my phone tells me it's 23 minutes to get to my office.
That's
from
great.
My house, and even though Snoqualmie's a little bit further out, as far as distance goes, the time it takes to get anywhere, because you're on I-90, there's no traffic.
Yeah.
Well, or a little bit of traffic, but not bad. Has been just absolutely amazing. So we opened our office. Interest rates, gosh, that's been a big topic.
That is a big topic right now
this year for everyone. Since the beginning of the year in January, we've experienced almost a 0.5 point increase in interest rates.
Wow.
The Feds just had their last interest rate hike of a quarter in March, on March 21st, and we're expecting a couple more throughout the year.
Okay.
So one of the big topics that's been coming up for me, I know for you, a lot of our fellow people in our industry, is when is the right time to buy? Like, are we in a bubble?
Oh, I get that question all the time.
What's happening with rates, all of that. So, ultimately, the simple answer to your question is rates are slowly but surely going up.
Mm-hmm.
So when we do have clients that are under contract, we try to encourage them to lock in their rate as early as possible, just so that it can't move on them. We like to make sure our clients don't have sleepless nights worrying about the market, and that's really helpful.
Right. Well, and I always remind clients, because I think they forget, you actually don't lock your rate until you're under contract on a house.
Correct.
Some people, I think, oh, I went and did my approval with my lender and they quoted me this rate, so I'm good. And you're actually not good.
Well, and in this market, it's really competitive. So if you get a rate quote and then 2 months later you go to revisit it, you do need to get an updated quote, because the rate could be slightly different, or sometimes, hopefully not too different, but they are moving.
Yes, exactly.
That's one of those things.
Yeah, but I think it's good to talk about the rates. And, the cost of waiting, because I get that question all the time, right? We have been in a rapidly appreciating, increasing market for a number of years now. And it stands to reason that at some point things will change, right? Hopefully they just slow down. Hopefully they don't dip. But you can only sustain this for so long. And people are starting to wonder, am I buying at the top of the market? The reality is we don't know, right? Our local economy is incredibly strong. We've got lots of things going for us, but that's a crystal ball question. You only know when you're looking in the rear view mirror. But, what we do is we sit down and look at, really it comes back to how long you're going to own that home for, right?
Totally.
You want to be, I always tell clients, if you're going to be there 5 to 10 years, it makes sense. You should buy a house. Markets go up, markets come down, but it will pay off in the end. Right now we're in a market, quite honestly, you could probably own a house for 12 months and make a bunch of money. And if you're a gambler, rock on and do that. Personally, I'm not a gambler. I like kind of the slow and steady, sure thing. So, as long as you're going to be there for a while, I think you're still good. And I've had many clients that have, not many, but some that have, they keep waiting. Meanwhile, prices are going up, 12 to 15% a year, and interest rates are going up. And they're increasing at a point that you can't save yourself into that next level. If it's, oh, I can buy at this level. Gosh, I'd really like to spend a little bit more money and really get what I want. The market is outpacing their savings ability.
Exactly. And that's what we're seeing too. We do have clients that we've worked with that did think that maybe they were going to be buying at the top of the market. They wanted to just simmer a little bit, watch and see what happens. And some were adamant about doing a 20% down payment.
Right.
And one of the big misconceptions for a lot of especially first-time home buyers, but still out there in the market regardless, is that you do need to put 20% down payment. And the clients that have chased a 20% down payment that just keep on savings, well, as the home prices increase, they save themselves right out of the market.
Right.
And so I did do a little example. We'll have it posted on the website afterwards for some takeaways.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, after this, we'll have this available, this whole show. Again, if you're just joining us, I'm Nicole Mangina with Windermere Real Estate. This is the 425 show, and we've got Vanessa Rimkus with Fairway Mortgage joining us today. But we'll have it up as a podcast. It'll also be on my website, which is NicoleMangina.com. You can get the recording of the whole episode, and then we'll also have these sheets that Vanessa is going to talk about. I will be honest, it's our first show. We're working out the kinks. So give us a day or two. If you go right at the end of the show looking for the form, it's not going to be there. But we're working on it.
we have them completed. We just have to figure out where they go.
Exactly. So give us some time, but we'll get it there. But these sheets are amazing. So yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, just like a quick example that I ran just for, I have a really cool software that takes into account the appreciation rates in our area.
Yes.
And it's really conservative using the appreciation rates.
Uh-huh.
And then also is using the MBA rate projections for where interest rates are headed.
Oh, sure.
And so I just did an example for, a home in maybe the Issaquah-Sammamish area, a $900,000 purchase price for somebody that maybe is putting 20% down.
Right.
With today's interest rates, their home payment would be about $35.95, just principal and interest. I'm not doing taxes, insurance, anything like that. Our expectations, if that client waited for 1 year, using a very, very conservative appreciation rate of less than 4%.
Right, which is probably, it's going to be minimum 10% this year, just with the way the market started off, probably closer to, again, that 12 or 15%.
Right, so we can do some revised projections on that too. But let's say that a year from now, that same home would be projected to be selling around $935.
Right.
Again, super conservative numbers. But the rate would be higher. The rate would be higher by about 3/4 of a point is about the projection that was used. So the payment goes from $35.95 to $4,072.
Wow.
So huge difference in payment when you look at that as far as mortgage terms. It's about $500 give or take.
Yeah.
And
that's $6,000 a year. That's amazing.
So
that's a lot.
When you put that into payment and you say, okay, well, instead of buying that $900,000 house today, you could have purchased $1 million home today
Right.
for that same payment, and the only differences are the appreciation and the interest rate.
Yes, that's amazing. I was told, is it true that for every 1% that interest rates go up, it essentially reduces your buying power by about 10%?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yep. Old rule of thumb.
Yeah, exactly. And we're getting there with those rate increases. So, whether or not now is the right time to buy ultimately still ends up being somebody's personal decision. But the cost of waiting is a very real thing. Again, that was you have 3.88% for an appreciation rate. It'll probably be 4 or 5 times that for the appreciation rate by the time we're already done. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say another example of this too on my nerdy number world.
I love
is today, if the interest rates were where they're projected to be, instead of a client buying at a $900,000 purchase price for that same payment that they're buying today, they'd be buying an $828,000 home.
Right, and those are 2 very different homes when you go out and look at them.
Exactly. Well, that 828 may be closer to $1 million down the road. So there's just a lot of interesting math that's involved. And
yes,
what's cool is we have some great software. So whether you're a visual person and or a numbers person, there's graphs and slides that we can tweak any of these numbers. So we'll publish them after the show. But if you do want a custom cost of waiting slide, I can definitely put one together for you. It doesn't take very much time on my end.
Awesome. And what's the best way to reach you, Vanessa?
So my cell is 425-691-8226, and my website is vanessarimkis.com.
Love it. We'll make sure we get those in the show notes as well. And I always recommend when clients are thinking about purchasing that they schedule. I know you can go online and do your application, and I think that's awesome, because that makes that part of it easier. But I always recommend that people come in and meet with you so that they can run all of these different scenarios, because I am a numbers person as well. I'm also a visual person. I really like to see things. So to, have this stuff printed out in black and white can really help people make a decision. And before they've decided on a house, then I think, that's the time to go through all of this so that it helps them ultimately in their decision-making process. And sometimes it's very clear what the right answer is if, they're trying to decide, do I buy now? Do I buy later? What price point do I purchase at? Also, how much do I put down? The 10 versus 20% down. There's, advantages to both and reasons why you might do one versus another. It ends up being really personal as to what the right choice is for that client. But to be able to sit down with you and run through all of those things before they've found a house so that they're calm and rational, I just think it makes such a big difference.
Exactly. That's so true. I mean, mortgages are not a one-size-fits-all for clients. So when we sit down with our clients, we have them take application, and then we put together a really personal plan to meet their financial goals. So just because, their friend got a 30-year fixed and their mom and dad have a 30-year fixed mortgage doesn't necessarily mean that that's the best plan for them. A client may be more interested in paying it off quickly and doing a 15-year mortgage. They may have investment goals to where an adjustable rate mortgage may make more sense for them, or they're not planning on being in the house for very long. So to sit down and put all these numbers together, we really like to tailor a plan for our clients just so that they have all of the information that they need.
Absolutely. And I always tell my clients, if you feel the need to check interest rates or loan programs with other lenders, I think sometimes that's a good idea. Vanessa usually has the best option out there. In fact, pretty much always. But what I do tell people is, when you go to a party or you're talking with a friend and they ask you your interest rate, tell them you can't remember. Don't share your interest rate with other people. Because it's one of the, when you buy a car, everybody always wants to know, what did you pay for it? And you could have gotten that car for free and somebody's going to tell you got ripped off or you got a bad deal, right?
Isn't that so true? It is so true. And coworkers especially talk to each other and they're like, hey, my buddy got this rate. And I'm like, well, did they buy today? When did they buy?
Right.
And then, then you're like, well, did your buddy tell you their credit score? You start going into a little bit more granular.
There's always more to the story. So, if you want to compare rates, do it, but just know there's no such thing as apples to apples when you're comparing interest rates. It depends on the day, credit score, like you said. There's a million things that factor into an interest rate that somebody gets. So if you need to talk to another lender, that's okay, but be wary of comparing it with your buddy's rate.
Totally. I think that that's great advice.
Yeah. And what are you seeing in down payments? Are people still doing that 20% down? Are you seeing, because I think that is one of the misnomers in the last couple of years that, you have to have 20% down or you're out.
It's so true. It's so true. And I have clients that that take application and then they almost say, "Oh gosh, I'm so sorry that I feel like I'm meeting with you too early because I don't have enough saved."
Right.
And what's really interesting is for a lot of programs, especially a lot of the first-time homebuyer programs, you can do as little as 3% down, and in some cases, you can have your down payment deferred or even given to you as a grant. There's certain income limits that apply to that. But at the same time, it's really cool. So there's those options out there for clients that are more in like a jumbo arena, more of like the the $900,000 example that we were sharing. There's options as little as 5% down, but the most aggressive options as far as interest rates go are 10% down and higher. As far as 20% down clients, we see them all the time, but it's not necessary. It's not necessary. In this market.
That's good. I think that's great for people to know. Cool. Well, we are coming to the top of the hour. Vanessa, I want to thank you for being here, for being our first guest on our first show.
Thank you
honored
so
to have
much for having me.
Thank you. I can tell we're going to have you back again because mortgages, it's always an interesting topic. And I think it changes so much. There's always something new. So we'll be sure to have you back. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Again, this is Nicole Mangina. I'm with Windermere Real Estate, and you've been listening to the 425 Show.
Yeah, this is my town. My town.
The views expressed on this program are those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of KKNW, its management, or other advertisers. Contests are the responsibility of the host of this program and not KKNW. This is Alternative Talk 1150 AM, KKNW Seattle, and KNUC 98.9 HD3 Seattle.
That'll do it for this hour with Love Has Many Faces and the 425 Show. This is Nate here for a quick update on the traffic. The freeways are starting to open up a bit more now that the rush hour is tapering off. However, there are a few collisions which are holding things up. 405 southbound has a disabled